Good morning, fam. I'm here to read to you some selected poetry by Sidney Lanier, who lived from 1842 to 1881 in Macon, Georgia, is where he was born. Anyways, 3 poems. The Symphony is the name of the first one. O trade, would thou wert dead. The time needs heart, 'tis tired of head. We are all for love, the violin said. Of what avail the rigorous tale of bill for coin and box for bail? Grant thee, O trade, thine uttermost hope. Level red gold with blue sky slope, and base it deep as devil's grope. When all's done, what hast thou won of the only sweet that's under the sun? Aye, canst thou buy a single sigh of true love's least ecstasy? Then, with the bridegroom's heart beats trembling, all the mightier strings assembling, range them on the violin's side, as when the bridegroom leads the bride. And heart and voice together cried, Yea, what avail the endless tale of gain by cunning and plus by sale? Look up the land, look down the land, the poor, they stand, wedged by the pressing of trade's hand, against an inward opening door that pressure tightens evermore. They sigh, a monstrous foul air sigh for the outside leagues of liberty, where art, sweet lark, translates the sky into a heavenly melody. Each day, all day, these poor folks say, in the same old year-long, drear-long way, we weave in the mills and heave in the kilns, we sieve mine meshes under the hills, and thieve much gold from the devil's bank tills, to relieve, O God, what manner of ills. The beasts they hunger and eat and die, and so do we, and the world's a sty. Hush, fellow swine, why nuzzle and cry? Swinehood hath no remedy, say many men, and hasten by, clamping the nose and blinking the eye. But who said once, in the lordly tone, Man shall not live by bread alone, but all that cometh from the throne? Hath God said so? But trade said no, and the kilns and the curt-tongued mills say go. There's plenty that can. If you can't, we know. Move out if you think you're underpaid. The poor are prolific, we're not afraid. Trade is trade. Thereat this passionate protesting meekly changed, and softened till it sank to sad requesting, and suggesting sadder still. And oh, if men might sometimes see how piteous, false the poor decree, that trade no more than trade must be. Does business mean, die you, live I? Then trade is trade, but sings a lie. 'Tis only war grown miserly. If business is battle, name it so. War crimes less will shame it so, and windows less will blame it so. Alas, for the poor to have some part in yon sweet living lands of art, makes problem not for head, but heart. Vainly might Plato's brain revolve it, plainly the heart of a child could solve it. And then, as when from words that seem but rude we pass to silent pain that sits a brood back in our heart's great dark and solitude, so sank the strings to gentle throbbing of long chords change-marked with sobbing, motherly sobbing, not distinctlier heard than half-wing openings of the sleeping bird. Some dream of danger to her young hath stirred. Then, stirring and demurring ceased, and lo, every least ripple of the string's song flow died to a level with each level bow, and made a great chord tranquil surface so, bow. As a brook beneath his curving bank doth go, to linger in the sacred dark and green, where many boughs the still pool overlean, and many leaves make shadow with their sheen. But presently a velvet flute note fell down pleasantly upon the bosom of that harmony, and sailed incessantly, as if a petal from a wild rose blown had fluttered down upon that pool of tone, and boat-wise dropped o'er the convex side, and floated down the glassy tide, and clarified and glorified the solemn spaces where the shadows bide. From the warm concave of that fluted note, somewhat, half song, half odor, forth did float, as if a rose might somehow be a throat. When nature from her far-off glen flutes her soft messages to men, the flute can say them o'er again. Yea, nature, singing sweet and lone, breathes through life's strident polyphone the flute voice in the world of tone. Sweet friends, man's love ascends to finer and diviner ends than man's mere thought e'er comprehends. For I, e'en I, as here I lie, a petal on harmony, demand of science whence and why man's tender pain, man's inward cry, when he doth gaze on earth and sky. I am not overbold. I hold full powers from nature manifold. I speak for each no-tongued tree that, spring by spring, doth nobler be, and dumbly and most wistfully his mighty prayerful arms outspreads above men's oft unheeding heads, and his big blessing downward sheds. I speak for all shaped blooms and leaves, lichens on stones and moss on eaves, grasses and grains and ranks and sheaves, broad fronded ferns and keen-leaved canes, and briery mazes bounding lanes, and marsh plants thirsty cupped for rains, and milky stems and sugary veins. For every long-armed woman vine that round a piteous tree doth twine, for passionate odors, and divine pistils, and petals crystalline, all purities of shady springs, and shyness of film-winged things that fly from tree trunks and bark rings, all modesties of mountain fawns that leap to covert from wild lawns, and tremble if the day but dawns, all sparklings of small beady eyes of birds, and sidelong glances wise, wherewith the jay hints tragedies, all piquancies of prickly burrs, and smoothness of downs and furs, of eiders and of minivers, all limpid honeys that do lie at stammen bases, nor deny the humming-bird's fine roguery, bee-thighs, nor any butterfly, all gracious curves of slender wings, bark mottlings, fibre spiralings, fern wavings and leaf flickerings, each dial-marked leaf and flower bell wherewith in every lonesome dell time to himself his hours doth tell. All tree sounds, rustlings of pine cones, wind sighings, doves' melodious moans, and night's unearthly undertones, all placid lakes and waveless deeps, all cool reposing mountain steeps, vale calms and tranquil lotos sleeps. Yea, all fair forms and sounds and lights and warmths and mysteries and mights of nature's utmost depths and heights. These doth my timid tongue present, their mouthpiece and leal instrument and servant, all love eloquent. I heard when all for love the violins cried, so nature calls through all her system wide, give me thy love, O man, so long denied. Much time is run, and man hath changed his ways, since nature, in the antique fable days, was hid from man's true love by proxy fays, false fawns and rascal gods that stole her praise. The nymphs, cold creatures of man's colder brain, chilled nature's streams till man's warm heart was fain never to lave its love in them again. Later a sweet voice, love thy neighbor, said. Then the first bounds of neighborhood outspread beyond all confines of old ethnic dread. Vainly the Jew might wag his covenant head. All men are neighbors, so the sweet voice said. So when a man's arms had circled all man's race, the liberal compass of his warm embrace stretched bigger yet in the dark bounds of space. With hands agrope he felt smooth nature's grace, drew her to breast and kissed her sweetheart face. Yea, man found neighbors in great hills and trees and streams and clouds and suns and birds and bees, and throbbed with neighbor loves in loving these. But oh, the poor, the poor, the poor, that stand by the inward opening door, trade's hand doth tighten evermore, and sigh their monstrous foul air sigh for the outside hills of liberty, where nature spreads her wild blue sky for art to make into melody. Thou trade, thou king of the modern days, change thy ways, change thy ways. Let the sweaty laborers file a little while, where art and nature sing and smile. Trade, is thy heart all dead? All dead? And hast thou nothing but a head? I'm all for heart, the flute voice said, and into sudden silence fled, like as a blush that while 'tis red dies to a still, still white instead. There to a thrilling calm succeeds, till presently the silence breeds a little breeze among the reeds that seems to blow by sea marsh weeds. Then from the gentle stir and fret sings out the melting clarionet, like as a lady sings, while yet her eyes with salty tears are wet. O trade, the lady said, I too will wish thee utterly dead, if all thy heart is in thy head. For oh my God, and oh my God, what shameful ways have women trod at beckoning of trade's golden rod. Alas, when sighs are traders' lies, and heart's ease eyes and violet eyes are merchandise. O purchased lips that kiss with pain, O cheeks coin spotted with smirch and stain, O trafficked hearts that break in twain. And yet what wonder at my sister's crime? So hath trade withered up love's sinewy prime. Men love not women as in olden time. Ah, not in these cold, merchantable days deem men their life an opal grey, where plays the one red sweet of gracious ladies' praise. Now comes a suitor with sharp prying eye, says, Here, you lady, if you'll sell, I'll buy. Come heart for heart, a trade? What? Weeping? Why? Shame on such wooers, dapper mercery. I would my lover kneeling at my feet in humble manliness should cry, O sweet, I know not if thy heart my heart will greet. I ask not if thy love my love can meet. Whate'er thy worshipful soft tongue shall say, I'll kiss thine answer, be it yea or nay. I do but know I love thee, and I pray to be thy knight until my dying day. Woe to him that cunning trades in hearts contrives, base love good women to base loving drives. If men loved larger, larger were our lives, and wooed they nobler, won they nobler wives. There trust the bold straightforward horn to battle for that lady lorn, with heartsome voice of mellow scorn, like any knight in knighthood's morn. Now comfort thee, said he, fair lady, for God shall right thy grievous wrong, and man shall sing thee a true love song, voiced in act his whole life long, yea, all thy sweet life long, fair lady. Where is he that craftily hath said, the day of chivalry is dead? I'll prove that lie upon his head, or I will die instead, fair lady. Is honour gone into his grave? Hath faith become a caitiff knave, and selfhood turned into a slave to work in Mammon's cave, fair lady? Will truth's long blade ne'er gleam again? Hath giant trade in dungeons slain all great contempts of mean gain, and hates of inward stain, fair lady? For I shall name and fame be sold, and place be hugged for the sake of gold, and smirched robed justice feebly scold at crime all money bold, fair lady. Shall self-wrapped husbands I forget kiss pardons for the daily fret, wherewith sweet wifely eyes are wet, blind to lips kiss-wise set, fair lady? Shall lovers haggle heart for heart, till wooing grows a trading mart, where much for little and all for part make love a cheapening art? Fair lady. Shall woman scorch for a single sin, that her betrayer may revel in? And she burnt, and he but grin, when that the flames begin, fair lady? Shall ne'er prevail the woman's plea, we maids would far, far whiter be, if that our eyes might sometimes see men maids in purity, fair lady? Shall trade eye salve his conscience aches with jibes at chivalry's old mistakes, the wars that o'er hot knighthood makes for Christ's and ladies' sakes, fair lady? Now by each knight that e'er hath prayed to fight like a man and love like a maid, since Pembroke's life as Pembroke's blade, aye, the scabbard death was laid, fair lady. I dare avouch my faith is bright, that God doth right and God hath might, nor time hath changed his hair to white, nor his dear love to spite, fair lady. I doubt no doubts, I strive and shrive my clay, and fight my fight, in the patient modern way, for true love and for thee, ah, me, and pray to be thy knight until my dying day, fair lady. Made end that knightly horn, and spurred away into the thick of the melodious fray. And then the hautboy played and smiled, and sang like any large-eyed child, cool-hearted and all undefiled. Huge trade, he said. Would thou wouldst lift me on thy head, and run where'er my finger led. Once said a man, and wise was he, never shalt thou the heavens see, save as a little child thou be. Then o'er sea lashings of commingling tunes the ancient wise bassoons, like weird, greybeard old harpers sitting on the high sea dunes, chanted runes, bright-waved gain, grey-waved loss, the sea of all doth lash and toss. One wave forward and one across, but now 'twas trough, now 'tis crest, and worse doth foam and flash to best, and cursed to blessed. Life, life, thou sea fugue, writ from east to west, love, love alone can pour on thy dissolving score of harsh half-phrasings, blotted air writ, and double erasings of chords most fit. Yea, love, sole music master blessed, may read thy weltering palimpsest, to follow time's dying melodies through, and never to lose the old and the new, and ever to solve the discords true, love alone can do. And ever love hears the poor folks crying, and ever love hears the women sighing, and ever sweet knighthood's death defying, and ever wise childhood's deep implying, but never a traitor's glozing and lying. And yet shall love himself be heard, though long deferred, o'er the modern waste a dove hath word, music is love in search of a word. The next poem I'm going to read is called The Stirrup-Cup. Death, thou'rt a cordial old and rare, look how compounded with what care. Time got his wrinkles reaping these sweet herbs from all antiquity. David to thy distillage went, Keats and Gautama excellent, Omar, Khayyam and Chaucer bright, and Shakespeare for a king delight. Then time, let not a drop be spilt, hand me the cup whene'er thou wilt. 'Tis thy rich stirrup-cup to me, I'll drink it down right smilingly. The last poem I'm going to read is The Marshes of Glynn. Glooms of the live oaks, beautiful braided and woven with intricate shades of the vines that myriad cloven clamber the forks of the multiform bows. Emerald twilights, virginal shylights, wrought of the leaves to allure to the whisper of vows, when lovers pace timidly down through the green colonnades of the dim sweet woods, of the dear dark woods, of the heavenly woods and glades, that run to the radiant marginal sand beach within the wide sea marshes of Glynn. Beautiful glooms, soft dusks in the noonday fire, wildwood privacies, closets of lone desire, chamber from chamber parted with wavering arras of leaves, cells for the passionate pleasure of prayer to the soul that grieves, pure with the sense of the passing of saints through the wood, cool for the dutiful weighing of ill with good. O braided dusks of the oak and woven shades of the vine, while the riotous noonday sun of the June day did long did shine, ye held me fast in your heart, and I held you fast in mine. But now, when the noon is no more, and riot is rest, and the sun is await at the ponderous gate of the west, and the slant yellow beam down the wood aisle doth seem like a lane into heaven that leads from a dream, I, now, when my soul all day hath drunken the soul of the oak, and my heart is at ease from men, and the wearisome sound of the stroke of the scythe of time, and the trowel of trade is low, and belief overmasters doubt, and I know that I know, and my spirit is grown to a lordly great compass within, that the length and the breadth and the sweep of the marshes of Glynn will work me no fear like the fear they have wrought me of yore, when length was fatigue, and when breadth was but bitterness sore, and when terror and shrinking and dreary unnameable pain drew over me out of the merciless miles of the plain. Oh, now unafraid, I am fain to face the vast sweet visage of space. To the edge of the wood I am drawn, where the grey beach glimmering runs as a belt of the dawn for a meet and a mark to the forest dark. So, affable live oak, leaning low, thus with your favour soft with a reverent hand, not lightly touching your person, lord of the land, bending your beauty aside, with a step I stand on the firm-packed sand, free by a world of marsh that borders a world of sea. Sinuous southward and sinuous northward the shimmering band of the sand beach fastens the fringe of the marsh to the folds of the land. Inward and outward, to northward and southward, the beach lines linger and curl as a silver-wrought garment that clings to and follows the firm, sweet limbs of a girl, vanishing, swerving, evermore curving again into sight. Softly the sand beach wavers away to a dim grey looping of light. And what if behind me to westward the wall of the wood stands high? The world lies east, how ample! The marsh and the sea and the sky. A league and a league of marsh grass, waist high, broad in the blade, green and all of a height, and unflecked with a light or a shade, stretched leisurely off in a pleasant plain to the terminal blue of the main. Oh, what is abroad in the marsh and the terminal sea? Somehow my soul seems suddenly free from the weighing of fate and the sad discussion of sin, by the length and the breadth and the sweep of the marshes of Glynn. Ye marshes, how candid and simple and nothing withholding, and free ye publish yourselves to the sky and offer yourselves to the sea. Tolerant plains that suffer the sea and the rains and the sun. Ye spread and span like the Catholic man who hath mightily won God out of knowledge and good out of infinite pain, and sight out of blindness, and purity out of a stain. As the marsh hen secretly builds on the watery sod, behold, I will build me a nest on the greatness of God. I will fly in the greatness of God as the marsh hen flies in the freedom that fills all the space twixt the marsh and the skies. By so many roots as the marsh grass sends in the sod, I will heartily lay me a hold on the greatness of God. Oh, like to the greatness of God is the greatness within, the range of the marshes, the liberal marshes of Glynn. And the sea lends large as the marsh. Lo, out of his plenty the sea pours fast. Soon Full soon the time of the flood tide must be. Look how the grace of the sea doth go about and about through the intricate channels that flow here and there, everywhere, till his waters have flooded the uttermost creeks in the low-lying lanes, and the marsh is meshed with a million veins that like as with rosy and silvery essence flow in the rose and silver evening glow. Farewell, my lord's son. The creeks overflow. 1,000 rivulets run twixt the roots of the sod. The blades of the marsh grass stir. Passeth a hurrying sound of wings that westward whir. Passeth, and all is still. And the currents cease to run, and the sea and the marsh are one. How still the plains of the waters be! The tide is in his ecstasy. The tide is at his highest height, and it is night. And now from the vast of the Lord will the waters of sleep roll in on the souls of men. But who will reveal to our waking ken the forms that swim and the shapes that creep under the waters of sleep? And I could know what swimmeth below when the tide comes in on the length and the breadth of the marvelous marshes of Glynn.